So again, you can even learn that from the Bible, learn that from any other scriptures, learn that from any teachers. But the main thing is not only to learn, but to put into practice. But coming back to your point of compartmentalization, because this is where it is opposite from the teaching of the Buddha. Because in Buddhism, we are all interrelated. We are all holistic, you see. But compartmentalization, I'm pretty sure that it's something new in the West, starting from, if I may say so, René Descartes, the father of modern Western philosophy.
I call it
Cogito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am.
I call it Newtonian consciousness.
Well, it's that period anyhow, you see. I think, therefore I am. And since then, the West has been concentrated on thinking. And that's how the West becomes superior to others, scientifically, technologically. But it also destroys the West, because the West alienates his or her thought from her heart. Yes. And that thinking has now become used by, as I said, consumerism, you see, which not I think therefore I am anymore. I buy therefore I am. If you have no purchasing power, you are nobody. In my way, as a Buddhist, I feel that if the Buddha is alive, he would say, I breathe, therefore I am. You see, I think the modern people don't take care of breathing. You see, you don't have to believe in the Buddha, but if you stop breathing for 5 minutes, you are dead.
You're dead, yes.
But if you take care of your breathing, you know, you can overcome anger within 5 minutes. Breathing slowly, you can overcome anything negative through breathing. And then with breathing, you know, you must realize that you breathe in the first time when you enter your mother's womb, and you breathe out the last time when you depart from this life. And yet we don't take care of breathing. If you concentrate more on breathing, or meditation, or pray, you would understand even the past life, the future life. You can even link yourself with something mystery, as well as concerning for the suffering of other people, that we are also related not only to other peoples, to other animals, the earth, the trees. Without the trees, we cannot be here. Without the mountain, we cannot be here. And then I think with that, linking your heart and your head, then I think we become holistic, less compartmentalized. Then our thought and our heart become one. I think we become a real human being. And then you realize that to be is much more important than to have. Whereas in consumerism, to have is much more important than to be.
Yes. The point that the compartmentalization seems to happen, it seems, in order for a spiritual religious language to be effective, it seems that it must grow organically from the lives of the people. I think Tom Robbins, the author Tom Robbins, once said that the ideal modern Westerner, especially, or maybe the ideal modern man in toto, is someone that he called Zorba the Buddha, which someone who could move easily within the culture, the Western culture, perform all the duties of the Western culture, but do it from a quiet mind and a peaceful heart. And it's something I'd like to explore, but I wanted to get back to the question that we started this off with was the burning question. Yes. Do you think that's not something you often hear talked about in Western theological thought? But what is your opinion on that matter?
Well, on the need to question.
That someone must have the question in order to be taught the elevated perspectives.
Yes. I mean, I would certainly share that view, and I feel that probably puts me in the sort of liberal view of Christianity. But I don't think Christianity is about certain truths, but it's about a living relationship with God. And God is always surprising. Mm-hmm. So you always need to move on from a particular image you have of God. And I had a friend, Rabbi Hugo Grin, who was one of the survivors of the concentration camps. And he talks about the experience he had on Yom Kippur Day in the camp, when he fasted all day and wept for hours. And he had then that experience of the living God, which shattered his earlier picture of God as a God who would rescue him and save him. And he's one of those whose faith is actually strengthened and he then committed himself to oppose all forms of racialism and violence, a wonderful person. And I think many of us have to have our early infant faith shattered. What I don't think the church necessarily is very good is helping people to find questioning is healthy and to move on. And that is one of my sadnesses, that so many people are put off by the sort of childhood Christianity they were taught. And indeed, I mean, I'm very glad that some of them then discover a living faith through some contact with other religions. But they see the outward shell of doctrines you have to believe, rituals you're spent to go through, and don't discover that sort of spiritual inner core. And I also think it's that spiritual core which inspires practical action. I mean, it seems to me remarkable, people like Desmond Tutu, Mahatma Gandhi, the Dalai Lama, the people really who have moved the world are also people of deep spiritual faith. The action and practicality go together.
Hooking them together, that seems to be a great problem for the West. I grudgingly use this word, but it's one that I use in private when I'm discussing this with my friends, that Westerners seem to have this unique ability to create this cartoon devil that seems to fit into all the places they don't like. The devil is where you don't like it to be. As a matter of fact, I think the devil is probably the most undeveloped part of Western theology.
But isn't that to do with, in some sense, we've got to learn to love the repressed and the negative side?
Love the devil.
And I mean, there is a discussion in medieval Christianity whether the devil will ultimately be redeemed. And I think my own form of Christianity is that unless in the end God can redeem everything. I say this because otherwise I think we demonise those we oppose. And there's been a lot of that sort of onward Christian soldiers type of Christianity, which sees those who are against us as children of the devil. We've used that phrase of Jewish people. The other sort of Christianity is one which believes that God's love will, I mean, there came a debate whether Judas will eventually be redeemed, but in the end, God's purpose will only be achieved when all things come to perfection.
This is the end of episode 2. Episode 3 is right around the corner.